everyone, it's Cathy here from the UK, designer for Bello's Designs, and today I wanted to show you this torn paper technique that's doing its rounds on social media at the moment. It's very popular, and it's where you have an image on a card and then you cover it in paper and sort of tear it back, roll it back to reveal the image inside. So to create this, I have a piece of background that I'd made previously with another Talk Crafty to Me technique, which is distress inks and cling film on this background, so it's quite a nice background. Then I cut a piece of thick paper, which is 200 grams, so it's quite a thick paper. I cut that the same size as the background image, which is 4 inches by 6 inches. I then had some backing card that I cut 4.25 by 6.25 inches, and it will go onto a card once folded 5 inches by 7 inches. For the stamps, I used the Lavinia Bee LAV 132, the Butterfly LAV 623, the Garden Poppy LAV 689, Silhouette Foliage Set LAV 683, and I used this one, and the Lavinia Bluebells LAV 002. To colour the bee and the butterfly, I used Derwent Inktense pencils, and to colour the poppy, I used a red and a black Posca pen. You will also need a glue of some description, and I did the stamping in Versafine Clair Nocturne and Versafine Clair Warm Breeze. You'll also need, it's not essential, but it's easier if you've got a low tack stencil tape like the Sweet Poppy one, a pair of scissors, a pair of tweezers, and a cotton bud. Again, this isn't essential, but it does help with rolling the paper, and I'll show you how that will work shortly. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to use a piece of low tack stencil tape across the bottom, because when I tear my card, it's going to be marginally higher than where the stencil tape is, so I want to make sure that the flower images come into the area that I need them. So let's start with the foliage set. I'm going to stamp this up in Warm Breeze. Right, and the next one, I'm going to do the poppies. Now I'm going to stamp these up in Versafine Clair Nocturne, and then I'm going to use Posca pens to make them red. You could, if you don't have Posca pens, you could just stamp them in a red ink. I'll have those ones quite high up. And then I'll do another set slightly lower. Now my poppies are stamped, I'm going to go back with the foliage set, and I'm going to try and do them in between the poppies. And Bluebell. Again, I'm going to use the Warm Breeze. I'm only going so far, you can go all the way over, but I'm only going so far because it depends how far I roll my paper back. So you won't see what's behind the paper anyway. So I'm just going to have a quick colour of the poppies. There we go. I'm just going to stamp the butterfly and the bee while that Posca paint is drying. Butterfly there. I'm now going to colour the bee and the butterfly. And then using my card, I'm going to pencil, any pencil will do, move it back, so there and about there. You could use a normal pencil and rub that out if you wanted to. It's just to give me a guide as to where to tear, so I'm going to tear this one down. I'm going to tear this one the other way. Like that. There we go. Now, with the Q-tip, I'm going to cut the end off my Q-tip, and then I'm going to use my very fine scissors. Oops, I've got a bit of sticky stuff there. I'm going to cut a line. I'm cutting a line. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but I've cut a line sort of quite a long way down to about here. This is a little bit fiddly. I'm trying to open it there so you can see. And then with the paper, in there. I'm going to slide it down and I'm going to roll. But before I roll any more, I'm going to use my glue. Put some glue here. So as I'm rolling it back, it will stick. tricky. Once it's actually stuck to this bit of glue, it's a bit easier to roll. You can use wet glue for this if you prefer. You don't need this Q-tip, but I do find that you get a thinner roll with it when you're rolling your card on paperback. Right, I'll stop there for a minute, and I'm going to do a little bit of glue on the very last bit. There we go. Hold that in place. That can come out now. Now if you get to this bit and you think I'd like that to be a bit higher, you can just tear it a little bit more. Like that. Right, so now I'm going to glue this side. This is where wet glue is probably a little bit easier. And then I'm going to try and line it up at the bottom and the side. Now mine's slightly longer, so I'm going to trim that with my scissors. Don't need to do this because you won't see. And then I'm going to glue the back of my card. Oops, that's got a little bit wet. My wet one. Now I've actually got a little bit of a black mark on there. Now if I can't get that off with a rubber, I will just put a sentiment over it. That's good, come off. So just glue this now onto my card. And there you have it, torn card technique. It's quite effective, isn't it? In fact, it's so effective. My husband came into the craft room when I was making this yesterday, and he said, "Oh dear, what's happened to your card?" And he thought I'd accidentally damaged it. He didn't realise that was the effect I was going for. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that and found that useful. And if you haven't already joined our groups, please consider joining our Facebook groups. We have 2 groups on Facebook. First one is Del Bello's Designs Lounge for all things Lavinia, and we also have Del Bello's a la carte for all other items that are not Lavinia based. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.